what age did I start? I started when I was 5. Actually, it was 4. I hadn't turned 5 yet. And I saw a drummer playing locally. I saw a drummer on TV first. I was impressed because he was the only one in the band sitting down. Everybody else had to stand up, and I thought that was cool. He was the boss, obviously. You know, he was in control. He was, counted everybody in, and everybody else had to stand up. And he started this song with this, ginormous drum fill, and it was cool. I was sort of intrigued, and then I saw a drummer play live a few days later, and I was very impressed with the volume and that power that came off that instrument, and also the fact that it was large and shiny and it looked cool. So I was hooked right away, and I asked my mom to buy me a drum, or sent me to get drum lessons right away, and she didn't think I was very serious about it, so she did send me to drum lessons immediately, hoping, I guess, that I would get put off and turned off by the whole, school thing attached to it, and the teacher, and the effort that was involved. But I had a great teacher, and he made it fun, and I was hooked. I started taking drum lessons at age 5, and stayed with that one teacher for about 7 years. He was a great teacher, percussionist with the Viennese Symphonic Orchestra, and then moved on from there. He recommended me to some other teachers, and then I went to the Conservatory of Music and the Music Academy in Vienna and studied music, and it was I kind of stumbled up the ladder,
But a very proper...
Yeah, I had a real sort of music education, yes, at a very young age, which to me made all the difference, and to anybody, I think. I mean, I learned to read right away. My first drum lesson, basically, I learned to read and to hold the sticks correctly and sit upright. And what my teacher did, which is, to me, probably still today, the most important thing I've ever learned, he taught me how to practice before he taught me how to play, which is, there's a huge difference. And a lot of people don't know how to practice, even when they're, after they've been playing for 20 years, they still have problems, finding the right way to practice or the most efficient way to practice, etc. So I had a great teacher who taught me how to practice, because I didn't know what I was going to do when I go home at age 5. He says, well, come back and play that next week. You're like, okay, I don't know how, but I'll try. And he taught me how to do that. He taught me what to look out for, and how I should practice, and what I should remember when I was practicing, etc., etc. So he was cool. There's things that can be said for either one of those approaches. The proper kind of school-wise, skill, if you like, has benefits. If you're able to read music, it makes your life a lot easier, especially if you're like a session player, because that's your daily life, reading music and being able to read it quickly and well, and play stuff without having to remember it and so on. Reading helps, of course. I think knowing a little about music in general helps. If you have a proper musical education, you learn about theory and harmony and music history and etc., etc. So, of course, that kind of helps to understand, and it widens your perspective on music. But there's also a lot that has to be said for that real gutsy sort of, primal approach to making music, where you don't think about anything at all, but you just feel and listen and take it from that perspective and interact and and don't play by the rules. I think both is important, and what I try to do always is find a balance between the two, because one isn't anything without the other. I think if you're all intellectual, you're boring. It's like watching somebody who knows math really well, you know what I mean? Being too intellectual on the drums can easily be a turn-off for me as well, and also being just gutsy is kind of boring after a while for me. Right. So I like to find a balance between the two, and I think my style is pretty much that. I try to forget everything I learned in music school as soon as I started working. I didn't ever think about paradiddles and double flamadiddles when I was out there playing or touring with bands. But it helped me to learn those things and understand them quickly and efficiently and easily. So I think you have to find the right balance. But if in today's music, if you want to be a session musician, there is only one way, you know. And I don't see myself as a session musician, really. But you know, when I dabbled in that, you know, profession for a while, I couldn't have done it without being able to read well, you know. So if you want to be a session person, then you got to be able to read.
And that's one of the, I mean, being a sessions player is one of the greatest ways to be able to pursue music as a profession, right? I mean,
yes, yeah. I mean, it's hard these days because, you know, the session scene isn't what it used to be. But you know, there's still enough work out there, I think, for.
Is it because Josh Freese is eating it all up?
Yeah, probably. Because I mean, there's only Josh Freese and Abe Laboriel and
Kenny Aronoff.
Kenny Aronoff and Kurt Busquera, I guess, in LA, and maybe a little bit John Robertson. That's it. And there's just not enough work for everybody. And those 4 albums that are being made every month, you know, they split them up between them. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. That was great.
Yeah.
Awesome.